Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on March the 29th, 2022. I'm your host, the leader of a cult. With me, as always, one of my parishioners.
Caffeine Rage, send help. Help.
You probably should. They probably should. Help me too. On today's show, we will of course be discussing, or not of course, we will be discussing our March Game Club game, which is Lake. We'll be revealing our April Game Club game. PlayStation Spartacus revealed as a PlayStation Plus Overhaul. GTA Plus offers subscription service for GTA Online. And we have a submission for our community corner. Gran Turismo 7 now has Sony's lowest user score ever on Metacritic. Timestamps will be in the show notes following the respective topics. Hello, Rage.
Hello.
I moved this past week.
You had a movement? Really?
I did have a movement.
I would hope that you would have a movement more often than this.
Yeah. Once every few years. It's,
What, are you, a sloth?
Yes. Yes, I do suffer from the sin of sloth.
And gluttony and...
Yep. I'm a very sinful person. Wahaha.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be a checklist.
No. Usually not. But I'm not greedy, unless being, the head of a commune, the head of a cult, makes you greedy, which, never mind, now that I say that out loud, you're right, it is a checklist. But yeah, as you know, and as our listeners know, because I talked about it, I moved, I'm in a new house, I got a new office, a new setup for my desk, and all of my stuff, and it's pretty good so far. I'm very tired, as moving is tiring.
Good night, everybody.
Do what?
So good night, everybody.
Right, good night. And my house is still, got lots and lots of unpacked boxes in it. But 1 or 2 boxes a day, I might be moved in completely by August. Maybe. And I'm okay with it.
Well, I still have packed up boxes in here, so.
Yeah. I'm trying to get my office unpacked. I'm to the point where that I need to start putting up my shelves. I have 3 shelves to put up. I gave up the bookcase that I had in my office because I have a closet in here that has got a bunch of, shelves and racks in it. So a lot of the stuff that I had sitting on the bookshelf in my office just as like a storage point is going to go in the closet. So the shelves are going to be just for more like display stuff. I got a new desk, which is it's a desk I had in my office that I used as like a workbench before, and it's got some cubbies on it and this really tall, stand on the right. And I've mounted my mic on that, so it's hanging now instead of being attached to my desk on the boom arm, and it's upside down. And it's neat to just like pull it down from overhead. I like it better, actually. It's not in the way.
So do you have a urge to yell, let's get ready to rumble?
Let me grab my mic, because actually I won't do that. It's probably a bad idea to grab it and yell into it.
And also,
yes.
Trademarks and, right.
Right. But yeah, it's nice to just like reach up and grab it and pull it down. And then when I'm done, just push it back up and over to the side. So far, I haven't spilled any drinks in my office yet. Well,
it's the day is still young.
That's true. But I've got like the immediate cubby to my right is going to be where like I put my drink. One of the main reasons that I would spill it before is that I would be reaching for something to my side, kind of absent-mindedly, and I would smack my cup and knock it over. But I'm not going to say it's impossible. I might still find a way, but it seems really difficult to accidentally reach into my cubby, my drink cubby, and knock it over. So, yep. Those are some of my improvements. This house is covered in hearts. I didn't realize this when we looked at the house, but the people who designed it to be like, the house of community love like 30 years ago. It was like this really sweet old couple. We've actually met them. It's not the crazy like divorced couple who owned the house when we bought it from them.
Were the antithesis of everything that house was designed to be.
Yeah, the Let's Go Brandon guy and the MLM Hun. Who owned the house.
I thought they were the same.
Touche. But no, the people who built the house were like, yeah, we wanted this place to be like, a place of love and community where that our friends and family could come and hang out. That's why we built it so big. And, she was like, we put hearts everywhere. And we were like, what? And we started looking around, and some of them are pretty obvious. And it's like, oh, right, of course. Like, they didn't, had custom cast some coat hooks and little things to go in the kitchen to put, like, a paper towel rack and towel holders and stuff that are cast iron, and they've got little hearts.
So you need to reseason them. I'll go get the bacon.
Right? And then you start looking, and it's like, oh, all of the, the trim has hearts on it, and there's a lot of like custom made cabinets. So the guy who built it was an architect, and then his wife was like a professional like interior decorator who had lots of crafty skills. And so like they built, cabinets and custom cut like stone, masonry work for the side of the building and stuff. And so there's hearts on the side of the building and in custom made like cabinets and decorations and furniture. And they're done extremely well. I mean, one, they're very well done. They're beautiful pieces, very artful, like skills that I could never hope to possess. But they're done in such a way that they blend in, and so you don't notice them until you notice them. And then it's one of those things that you start noticing them everywhere. It's neat. It makes me so happy, all the hearts that are around this place.
Or like how somebody points out that there's a face somewhere.
Right, and then you can never unsee the face. It's like that with the hearts. So, it's cool. I like it. But otherwise, it's still a house. It's just bigger because we moved in all the people.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is buzzing. It's the first time we recorded. Katie's asking me if I've had the dogs. Whoops, no, I didn't.
In our first random intermission.
Right. I don't think I'm going to feed the dogs. I think Katie will feed them.
They could survive a night.
Honestly, they could. I mean, I wouldn't like not feed them on purpose, but if we had forgotten, they would have been all right. But I thought she was going to be like, hey, you're really loud. I haven't soundproofed my office yet. I am going to still do some soundproofing. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The floor is carpet. And there are many things I don't like about carpet, from stain potential and allergies and stuff. But really good sound absorption. So that helps a ton. But I'm just waiting to see if they're going to be like, we can hear you swearing and talking about tits and stuff. So, boobs, butts, vagina. There we go. Dicks.
Why are you talking about yourself? All right.
Welcome to the childish part of the podcast.
Also known as, was it 200 and almost 70 episodes of Video Game Logic?
Hell yeah. Going strong, baby. How are you this week? What's new with you?
Had the niece over for the weekend, so had to kind of rush to get the game club done. Thankfully, it was a short game.
It is pretty short.
But made pizza. Taught the niece how to, use a chef's knife. Even though she was a little intimidated by, massive chef's knives that I have. I don't even have, like machete chef's knives. I have a 9-inch and an 8-inch chef knife because Anita likes a slightly shorter knife. And do I really need an excuse to get another knife, right?
I don't think you do.
Maybe I should have just put her with baby cleaver. I've shown you my miniature meat cleaver, right?
Yes, you have.
And that thing is wicked sharp. But made pizza. Tried actually a different recipe for it with a different dough method. This was slow fermentation, 48-hour pizza dough.
Yeah.
And actually was fucking delicious. It just usurped my sourdough pizza. Which the sourdough, it's good. It's strong.
Yeah.
And if I want something that's, not, like eating, sourdough, right?
Yeah.
One downside is that, it takes 2 days for it to ferment. But the plus side is I'm not having to worry about pizza dough and then do all the toppings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, made an absolute mess of the kitchen, hung out with the niece, had a good time. I think she enjoyed, learning some knife skills. I mean, I'm not going to claim I'm amazing with them, but it's at least, I have fewer knife, scars than her grandfather who was trying to teach her, and she accidentally cut herself, which is a sign that, he was teaching her wrong, right?
Yeah, quite possibly.
And also, doing mushrooms with a sharp knife, it's, you're not requiring a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah. I mean, most things, when you're cutting them, especially in like the fruit and vegetable world, if you've got a sharp knife, the knife does the work.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing, is that I'm not sure about her grandfather that was teaching her. This was her father's side, which he had two sets of grandparents because that a stepfather, and it's, let's just put it this way. They're about as bad as the MLM hunt and the Let's Go branding guy. Actually, they might be worse.
Well, that's not great.
And her other grandparents on Anita's side, Anita's mom hates sharp knives. She thinks a sharp knife is too dangerous and past a certain point.
I see.
Meanwhile, here all my knives, are push cutting paper, right?
Yeah.
And, I'll go in and hone them every, few weeks if, I start to feel any resistance.
Yeah. I'd much rather have a knife that's too sharp as opposed to a knife that's too dull.
Yeah, I have a feeling if I ever have to cook in Anita's mom's kitchen, I'm going to be sneaking in. I have a El Cheapo, quick and dirty pole sharpener that I'd probably have in my pocket, right?
Yeah.
What's that over there? Shink, shink, shink. Right?
Yeah. I've got a really nice knife sharpening. I call it my knife sharpening set. I mean, it's a couple of different stones, whetstones. And then I do have one of those pool sharpeners for like a quick and dirty, oh shit, but I've got two stones and then like a leather, like a big leather strap. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a kit that's two double-sided stones, so it's now I'm blanking on the exact grid of them, but the fine grit is just absurdly overkill.
Yeah.
It has a strap with it, and a flattening stone as well, because if you use a whetstone for long enough, you'll start to get a valley in it where you've ground it down.
Yeah.
And a honing rod, which the honing rod is what gets the kind of my major mileage to keep things sharp. Or it's not even, yes, I know. It doesn't keep things sharp. It just brings them back true. It's not technically sharpening. But trying to explain that to a 13-year-old, right? You're starting to throw a little bit too much technicality in, right?
Yeah. By the way, welcome to the cooking portion of the podcast. This is what happens when we've been away for a couple of weeks and can't talk about it. You and I, this is not just like a bit that we do. We talk about cooking a lot because we're both enthusiasts. Gaming and cooking, those are like our two biggest things, I think.
Yeah. And I get a little bit on the deep end on cooking. The recipe for the pizza dough I used, it's from The Elements of Pizza. And no, I'm not joking, that's the actual book.
Nice.
It's
Sounds
from
like a good book.
It's from the same author that did Flour, Salt, Water, Yeast, which is one of the major bread books.
Yeah.
And it goes way into the depths of not just dough, but how to shape, how to the history of pizza in different regions. I picked it up pretty cheap on, I think it was Google Play.
They do have good book sales sometimes, and good like
extremely
coupon deals
good
for books.
And Amazon's the other one that does really deep discounts on books. So
yeah.
And it also helps that, have a little bit of credit. Gotta spend something. I'll get a random cooking book that's, really technical. All right?
Yep. There's I've mentioned him a couple of times. I know I've mentioned him to you. I don't know if he's ever come up on the show or not. But even before we started the commune, there was a guy that had been living with us for a while. We've been helping him. Lot of stuff. Really complicated situation. We've been helping him, and he just finally started wanting to learn how to cook. Like he feels like he's made enough improvements in his life that's something that he can tackle. And so like we had our first like lesson last night while we were cooking dinner. And I'm like, oh, and it was just, hamburgers and fries, homemade burgers and fries.
I would start with pasta, really, because.
Well, I mean, that was what was on the menu. He was like, hey, can you start teaching me? And I'm like, yeah, this is what we're cooking tonight. So we'll start with this. And I was like, how technical do you want me to get? Do you want me to just show you what to do? And show and tell you what to do, or do you want me to explain it? And he was like, please explain it to me. So I'm standing in the kitchen and wind up giving like this cooking lesson to like a bunch of people who were like, oh, interesting. Because everyone in the house knows how to cook, but only me and Jack really understand anything about food science. And so, I'm explaining hamburgers and like meat and why they sort of, swell up when you cook them and why, one way to help with that is to give like a little divot, and explaining like, fries and different ways that you can prepare fries to get different type of textures out of them. And, what are you wanting to cook? Are you just, wanting to make food? How much effort do you want to put in? Do you want to give it a certain type of, finish per se? Here's how you can get different things out of your seasonings. Do you mix them in the meat? Do you put them on the meat? Using cast iron versus just like a metal pan, what your different oils are for.
Why you don't use metal in a nonstick pan?
Yeah.
While nonstick pans are very bad for hamburgers, right?
Yeah. And it was interesting. I'm like, I feel like I wasn't trying to like do like a fancy like, thing. Like I wasn't trying to have like, I just was trying to explain to this person who asked me to explain it to them. And it's like, oh, I feel like I'm like teaching a class. I feel woefully unprepared for this. But the burgers were delicious. Just a simple, just hamburger patties, salt, pepper, little Worcestershire sauce, garlic, and garlic powder, I should say. I didn't cut up any garlic cloves, but garlic powder.
Well,
and
garlic powder definitely
powder.
has its place in the kitchen. I mean, garlic and garlic powder are two very different flavors.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was just simple hamburger patties. Made them on the cast iron griddle top. They were delicious. And then my fries were oven baked. I made 3 pounds worth of potatoes into fries, and there were no leftovers last night. So
yeah, I don't really do handmade fries too often. Or French fries, I should say. I do home fries often enough, but one trick I've picked up for home fries, fried potatoes, is actually parboil them in the microwave. So you're starting off pretty much with cooked potatoes when they hit the pan.
Yeah.
Saves so much time.
Yeah.
So speaking of time, I think it's time to get to the game club.
Probably. Our recording timer is at 22 minutes. I'm not sure how much of that will get shaved off.
Yeah, if we cut that down, we got a good portion of a Franken episode.
Right? Start building that content back up. Yeah. Explain Game Club, Rach. I'll let you do it.
Game Club is a time that we intentionally play the same game at the same time. We typically have very different tastes and usually play games at very different times, but Game Club is a time that we get together and play the same game at the same time.
Absolutely. And as mentioned at the start of the show, like 47 hours ago, we played Lake.
But you have the wrong thing on the topics list. I'm fixing that.
What do I have on the topics list?
You have the month afterwards.
Oh, oops.
Good thing I caught that, huh?
Yep. But anyways, yes, we played Lake. Lake is interesting and actually kind of hard to describe game. I think it's closest to like a walking simulator.
I would put it kind of visual novel meets walking sim, yeah. Where you are a 40-something coming back to her hometown after 22 years to help her father deliver the mail. Her
Yep.
father's the mailman. They're going on a vacation to Florida. So you're covering for them while you're kind of having this stressful semi-crisis at work.
Yep.
And honestly, it seems like you're kind of an outcast to me. Yeah, you're cut off from the group while they're having their big Labor Day party. All right.
Yeah.
And while part of that is, you're getting ready to go on your flight from, I think it was New York, to this little backwoods town in Oregon. It seems very, very much that you're, not part of the group,
Yeah.
Outside of Steven relying, honestly, a bit too much on you to go over everything.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yes. So the game is set in the 1980s, and I think it's interesting.
1986.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You are playing as a female. That is, sort of you don't get to choose a character. You are playing this character, and you get to make decisions for her. But you're playing a female in the tech sector in the 80s, which has a very specific connotation for anyone who is, has studied sort of tech history. Women were very present in very big and important technical discoveries, advancements, and companies in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and do a lot of heavy lifting. There have been some movies in recent years made about them, like the group of ladies who did all the calculations for NASA. I can't think of the name of the movie, unfortunately.
Oh, damn it, right?
Yeah, but I think anyone listening who has a cursory familiarity would be like, oh yeah, it's that movie, sort of yelling it at us through the ether.
I think it's Hidden Figures.
That actually, I think you're right. I think that's it. It's Hidden Figures. But that happened for many large discoveries. I mean, some of the in video games.
It's Hidden Figures. I was just double checking myself because I didn't want to scream it out and be wrong on that one.
Yeah, but there are prominent female developers. Well, prominent, and looking back, like these these developers like played pivotal roles in these companies, games and in tech and etc. And they've kind of been erased by history, and so you're playing what, to me, and maybe this is me coloring it with my own understanding and interpretation of the era, but like you're playing one of those figures, like this lady who is a key part of developing this company's product. And if I cannot remember what it was, some kind of software.
It was a bookkeeping / journal software.
Yeah. And it's like you're playing a key role in developing this software, and you get to choose. So this game is, like you said, kind of a choose your own adventure thing. So you do get the option of what to do, what characters to interact with, who to sort of, to a certain extent. But and what kind of interactions you're going to have with them. And one of those things that your boss, Steven, keeps asking you on your vacation to do work to fix the product, go over his contracts and make sure everything's good. And you can choose to do that or not. And it's like, you're not, in my head, I'm like, she's not going to get any recognition for this. Like, he's working OT with her, like, but nothing is really going to come of this. And maybe I'm wrong, but at least the way that I played it, like, she's definitely not going to get recognition, but we'll move on to that later. The game, like you said, you go back to your hometown, and sort of the story crux of the game is you meet up with your old best friend. There are a couple of potential love interests, and then 2 or 3 sort of larger story threads that play out over the course of this week, depending on how you choose to interact with it. And then a few minor ones. And how do you want to go about talking about this? I think.
Well, should we give our general thoughts on this first? Because
yes.
I have some thoughts on this game.
Do you want to go first then?
Yeah. It feels like the beginning of the game is absolutely brilliant in my opinion. And, getting into the game, meeting some of the more eccentric characters, but it really feels like it's a game of two halves, where towards the end of the first week, but definitely in the second week. You're there for 2 weeks, and there's a hard cutoff on the story. It feels like it kind of just falls off a cliff on interactions. It goes from meeting several people a day to, really very little happening on a day-to-day basis outside of a couple major story beats. And that might just be because one of the characters I just kind of ignored because I just didn't like him from the very beginning.
Oh, you didn't like Lumberjack Man?
No.
Interesting. Okay.
So I went for video lady.
Video rental lesbian lady?
Uh-huh.
I can't. Okay, so I played this, disclaimer. I played this much earlier in the month because I knew I was going to be moving and setting up, and I wasn't sure how much time I'd have coming up towards the end of the month. So I don't remember any of their names. I remember them in my head
Angie and Robert.
Okay.
Or, Angie is runs the video shack
rental store.
Who is way ahead of her time because, mind you, this is 86, and I actually did a little bit of looking up on the numbers on VCRs, and going from 86 to 90, there is a huge jump in VCR acceptance, and 86 is like the very beginning of this revolution, and she's just, like she said at one point, just ahead of her time.
Yeah.
So, if she waited like a year or two, right? But she's there from, I think it was San Francisco or Los Angeles, trying to find herself. And she settled down in this little town to try to reinvent herself. And then Robert, who is very off-putting in his first interaction with you. Just talking about bullcrap from a letter that you deliver him. And it's just... it just seemed like, no.
He's very awkward and traditionally masculine.
Yeah, and he is very against the idea of putting in an apartment building on a back road, saying that it will ruin the beauty of the lake, which just seems odd. There's a few things on this game that it feels like they're trying to do something, but they didn't quite land. Like, if this apartment complex was going to be like lakeside, but it's not. It's off in the back in the woods, right?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they point out that it's going to be on this road back here, and it's way back in the back corner of this map. You're on the day-to-day basis, which one thing I do like is that there's no timers. You're free to explore wherever, and it's like this dirt road that you go down, and you're about as far away from the lake as you possibly can be. And that are saying this is where they're building it, and they're upset that and the apartment complex is going to be next door to Thumper, right?
Yeah,
it just feels like it falls flat on that one.
I can imagine them clearing off the entire forest, though, as someone who, and I mean, you know.
True. The first domino, possibly, but right.
Yeah. We live in rural areas. I've seen my area, get developed some over time. And it's like, oh, they're going to put a building over there. And it's like they clear, 4 acres of land or whatever. Because it's just, it's just land developments. And they'll turn it into more properties or whatever. Like, I could see that. But also, it does feel a little weird.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, after that first weekend, it just feels like content drops off. Before that, whenever you deliver a package, it's like, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have some sort of character interaction. And the last couple days that I played, which I'm getting to that. There was like maybe one interaction and everybody else was just not home. And that's like the big touchstone moments earlier on in the game. And then I hit a show-stopping bug that completely stopped my game. I could not continue on.
Okay.
I had to actually go look up the endings on YouTube because I hit infinite loading screens.
Oh.
I hit a show-stopping bug. So any positive I had for this game went out of the goddamn fucking window.
Did you... So I had a loading bug, but I just reloaded a save. Just reloaded my save.
I went through one interaction 3 times. The third time it finally went through, then I hit it again on the next cutscene, and I just gave up.
Gotcha.
The characters are interesting, but they're not so interesting to go through the conversations multiple times. I could only hear so many times about the goddamn potato harvest.
Okay. Yeah, that was the area where that it bugged out for me. I had to restart it once, but then it worked.
No, it did it 3 times for me. On the third time, it did go through eventually. And then I got to the end of the day and it started again. No.
Well, that sucks. Before we talk about the endings, I know that you said you watched them online.
Yeah,
so I have a few questions
them
for you, but before we get there, do you have any more thoughts? And then I can kind of talk about my experience playing through the game.
Well, even before I hit the show-stopping bug, the game was kind of souring on me, just where it felt like there was not enough going on with it. Where it feels like they were kind of stretching it out, where it could have been like a week and a half, or even a week, and have it make more sense. And also because I kind of just dropped a character, all of a sudden this character's latching back onto me, and it's like, why? I gave you a letter and walked away. Why are you talking to me? And I know it's trying to get certain story beats, but at the same time, it feels a little stalkerish, right?
Yeah.
It feels like they didn't account for some things that should have been more obvious,
Yeah.
And also there were some technical issues, or before the show-stopping bug, that felt a little weird. Like, I had some shadows that felt like they were a little bit flickery. Like they were set to like a very low setting, and the game just couldn't figure out exactly what to do. And there were some level of detail things that would sometimes take me out of it.
Yeah.
But also the cars sometimes would just there was this one section of the roadway where all the cars would just drive off or partly off the road. Where the driving pathway was a little bit wonky.
Yeah. The other drivers were a bit odd. I think that, they were just supposed to be set dressing. They did not have very good driver AI, and that's fine.
I mean, it was rudimentary at best, where, if your car was anywhere close to their set path, they would just kind of sit there forever.
Yeah.
I would love to see this type of game more fleshed out. Or encounter the characters some more, because, you have 2 interactions with Crazy Cat Lady, and then, you never see her again.
So there are actually more than 2 interactions with Crazy Cat Lady. There is one at the end that, because yours game crashed, you didn't get.
Okay.
But there are more than 2. And I'm not sure. I think because you didn't... Okay, so you didn't like Sexy Lumberjack Man. No. And some of those stories are intertwined with each other. Because, Video Rental Lady, Video Rental Lesbian, has you do like a little thing for her where you take the like VCR
video
around
box,
and show it to people. So that gives you a couple extra interactions. Well, Sexy Lumberjack Man has got some of those as well.
And one of them's with Crazy Cat Lady?
Yeah, one of them involves the cat lady. It involves the farmer guy, where you go up and you do like a radio spot with him to try to...
Yeah, I got... I did get the radio spot with him, which just felt really weird and desperate.
Yeah. I think that some of that might... Because it was a little bit odd, but then like you could spend some time helping Sexy Lumberjack Man do a better radio ad. I don't know if you got that as well, because if you weren't spending time with him, like I don't know if that changed
the
options.
Option to suggest something in the radio booth, but that was it.
So I was doing every interaction with everybody that I possibly could, and I had multiple suggestions that I could give. And I got to take multiple attempts to re-record the thing. And, I don't know how much of that is, like, just my choices versus, like, what the game gives or takes away based on the choices that you make. I'm not sure about that.
I think I had 3 options, but honestly, I really didn't care.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
And also, did you do the photos for the grocery store?
Yes, I did, although I didn't quite understand it first. Because she was like, you got to take all the photos, but then you don't turn them in the same day. You have to turn them in later. But
Yeah.
she made it seem like you had to take the photos all in one day.
Yeah, well, did you turn them in?
I did turn them in, yeah.
Did you get your photos back?
Yes, I did.
They were all black, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
And the story continues on no matter what. Honestly, it would have been funnier if she screwed them up and just admitted it. But that supposedly is a bug that they were going to fix, but just never did.
Yeah, okay. I thought that was the joke, was that like she couldn't figure out how to use the thing and she ruined your photos.
No.
Oh.
No, that's a bug.
Oh. Well.
That they should have played off as a joke.
Yeah. Because she's like a very typical, like, I need to learn no technology, kind of like Southern lady. And it makes sense. It's like, oh, you ruined the photos because you didn't know what you were doing. Haha.
But no, that's not a joke. That's a game bug.
Yeah. So my general experience with the game, it lines up with yours. Although I did like Sexy Lumberjack Man, I liked the juxtaposition that it gives you for what to choose, because essentially you get 3 overall options of what to do. You can choose yourself through a couple of options. You can choose Sexy Lumberjack Man, or you can choose VCR Lesbian Lady. And
you keep saying like VCR Lesbian Lady is the bad choice. She's so cute.
She is extremely cute. What I wanted was to settle down in the small town with VCR Lesbian Lady. She was my number 1 pick. But
unfortunately, right?
But that's not what she wants. And I like that. I like that it's like, no, in 2 weeks, like, you can't make her want to stay in the small town. Because her story is that, like, she's tried out this video rental store, it's not working, she feels weird in the small town, and so she's gonna leave. She's gonna go back to the city, or maybe she's gonna travel around. And there's another character, they're a couple, I'm not sure if they're husband and wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend, but, like, they're stoners who've got this RV.
Yeah.
And if you interact with them and are cool to them, they give you the RV when they skip town. Mm-hmm. And then you can choose to keep the RV to drive around yourself, to go explore the country, or take it with VCR Lesbian Lady and you guys go be a couple roaming around the country, or you can just choose to give it to her. And I gave her the RV at the end of the game. I gave her the RV. Because, it was like, I was like, I like you a lot. I want to be with you, but what I want to be is not roaming the country. So you take this. Like, I can give this to you. So I thought that was really cool. So she was my primary pick, and then my secondary pick was Sexy Lumberjack Man with his awkward masculinity.
My Lumberjack Man was, like, tied for that and going back to the city and being miserable. Because, honestly, I just don't see her being very happy with him unless he warms up later on. But even the ending with him that I saw, he was still extremely awkward and weird. Honestly, fucking creepy.
He does the over the top, like, romantic quote unquote gesture where he chases you down in your mail van and he's in his truck and he's like, yeah, I'm hardcore paraphrasing, but he's like, I've decided that I love you and I want to be with you. If you want to be with me, let's go to the diner and go on a date. And I got in the truck and went on a date with him. Spoilers, I chose to stay in the town. I helped the company. Like, I did all of this stuff for my boss. And he's like, oh, you saved us. You're going to be rich. Like, you're going to get certain percentage of all the sales. And then I was like, great, I'm going to stay in the town. So I'll take my shares and stay in the town. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of sad. I thought that maybe I had messed something up so that I couldn't be with Sexy Lumberjack Man. But honestly, that's okay. I was happy to be in the town. But then he chases you down and does the romantic thing. And I'm like, all right, I don't know how I feel about this, but I'll give it a shot anyways. Because at the end of the day, like, if it fails, like, you get your parents' house, you stay in the town because they're moving to Florida. Let's keep the job at the post office. But I got way sidetracked. I feel the same way that you feel about the game overall, in terms of like, it's got a really strong start. It really peters out in the middle, even doing all of the extra stuff by like the end of the second week, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday of the second week, are just like, there's no more interactions. You're just like waiting for the final day to go to like the big party and have like sort of the big like ending scenes and choices play out. And so it feels like there should have been like some way to skip those days. Because like, if you've got no content, the actual mechanics of the game, which is driving the truck around
It's
and
nice
delivering
and all,
mail,
but
it's boring by that point.
Yeah.
It's nice in the beginning, and especially as a way to sort of fuel these interactions. Like, video games need to contrive a way for you to interact with people. Well, what better way to do that than to deliver them mail and take them packages and have them be home and have interactions with them because they're excited to get their mail or whatever.
Well, hell, even just have people comment whenever you're walking by.
Yeah.
Because there's, especially when you're in the main area of the town, there's people that walk by that you never interact with at all. They don't even say hi.
Yeah. But, that as a vehicle for contrived meetings works pretty well. But by the end, when there aren't these interactions, when there aren't these little story moments, then it's kind of boring. And maybe there are some things that you can discover. Like, there's a guy with a metal detector walking around, and you can find him and talk to him. There's the writer. So at the end of every day, you can choose what to do. And if you've scheduled something on your calendar to meet with somebody, then that happens. Or if there's nothing going on that day, then you go home and you're like, you can watch TV or you can read a book. So I chose to read the book, like the little romance novel. And that writer is in one of the cabins writing stuff because they use his voice to narrate the book. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that you deliver him is like new reels for his typewriter. And you have like a whole comedy bit with him. And you can choose. Yeah, see,
I never got that one, but I only read like 2 chapters of the book.
Yeah.
I do know I delivered a totally not chainsaw shaped package to one of the random cabins.
Yeah. Yep. I did that. Yep. Which I'm not 100% sure what that's a reference to. I was thinking Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but there could have been somebody in the town that did something that I missed. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was funny. But, the game has these little interactions and these cute little things that you can discover. But like I said, but those last few days, like, I think I had done everything, at least that was available to me on my playthrough. So it really peters out towards the end, which sucks because I thought that the story was strong throughout. The gameplay is good enough to, like I said, give you those sort of contrived moments of interaction with people and, interesting enough storytelling mechanic that it worked. And I appreciated that. But, there's only so much scenery that you can appreciate and so many things to explore on this map that is relatively static. I mean, it rains some days.
Yeah, I did like the first time you go somewhere, Meredith will comment about her history with it.
Oh, yeah.
But I kind of wish they did that a bit more.
Yeah, that was nice. But so, yeah, my ultimate sort of decisions, like I said, was I chose to stay in the town after completing all the work for Steve to get my 20% share or stake in the company or whatever it was. I dated both people, but because VCR lesbian lady wanted to leave and, 2 weeks with her was not enough to make her change her entire life, which again, I appreciate. I gave her the RV and stayed with Sexy Lumberjack Man. I made up with my best friend, quirky best friend girl, which is how I think of her.
Which that's pretty much static. You can't change that as far as I could tell.
Yeah, same. The only thing you can kind of change is how you relate to her, because if you're still kind of standoffish, then, she's weird. And I think you can be really combative, too. But I was nice and rekindled, the relationship there. And then I made friends with the mechanic girl.
And watched Nightmare on Elm Street with her.
Yep.
Which I'm assuming that you have another interaction with her later on with the RV. Do you have one with Lumberjack Douche?
Uh, what kind? Yes. So you go on a date with him to the diner after you do the radio spot and like it plays. You can choose to go on a date with him to the diner, and you can be, flirty and stuff. And he gets a little weirded out, and you find out some stuff about his history and how that he was married before, and so he's like a little bit weird in relationships. And he was like, I promised myself I was never gonna fall in love again, but damn it, I fell in love with you. That whole vibe.
Yeah.
Like very, it's a very traditional masculine story and presentation, but it kind of makes sense because that falls into the rom-com vibe. Like think of how many, sort of rom-coms or, quote unquote chick flicks or, stories like that. That's like the, frumpy business lady goes to a small town and meets a rugged, good looking man. And, he warms his heart to her.
I think Lifetime, cable channels made an entire, well, I think that's their entire thing actually, now that I think about it.
Pretty much. But
unless wait, sometimes they do include Christmas because December, right?
Yep. And then your dad's friend, so your coworker who was doing sports betting with the post office, I protected him. I kept his secret and played dumb with the investigator that came, so he got to keep his job.
Yeah, I went a little ambiguous on that and just would leave it up to the investigator on that one, but I never got to see just how that one went out because, right?
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I mean, since I protected him and played dumb and like helped him out by delivering all the letters and everything, and giving him like betting advice, I became friends with him. And he was, a pretty cool guy, aside from his gambling addiction. But, he was a cool guy. Otherwise,
enabler.
Yeah, yep, you're right. I'm an enabler. But he was cool. He had a good storyline. I liked him. So, yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the game. I liked the amount of choices that you got. And, we're obviously leaving a lot of stuff out. We're hitting the high points. There are a lot of story interactions with people. We didn't even talk about the fisherman guy, who gives off a very like sort of Jaws. I actually
kind of liked him.
I liked him too,
but I think he's also a character that it's a good thing that you only interact with him a couple times.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he had a super deep storyline. He was an interesting character.
Honestly, all the characters didn't feel super deep. They felt very superficial. And I think that might just be because they all needed like one more interaction at least.
Yeah.
I think the best friend actually is the one that you meet with the most out of the entire thing because you meet her once delivering a package, then a couple times at the diner without, lumber dude storyline. And, kind of reconnect with her and, see her enthusiasm for music and maybe push her into computers.
Yeah.
Depending on some choices.
I didn't push her into computers. I did encourage her to get back into doing her music. I'm not sure if that's something that you can skip, is her doing that, but I was encouraging to her.
Well, there was a option to say, maybe you'd like programming if you like sampling that much. And, going into computerized stuff.
Yeah. I don't think I picked that option, actually. I don't know how much replayability there is here, though.
Yeah,
I feel like it's
not a lot.
Yeah, if you really wanted to do multiple playthroughs, I would suggest focus only on one romantic story per playthrough, and then try some different choices for the other things, and just see what happens. It took me about 7 hours to play through it. And I enjoyed it, but I don't think that play through it once and then look up stuff on YouTube or, whatever, maybe on a wiki to figure out what happens with the other options.
Yeah, there's there's 4 main endings. There's going back to the city as well.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much the shortest ending. Stay with the lumberjack, stay in town or go, be Thelma to Angie's Louise.
Yes. Which ending do you think you were going to go with if the game hadn't died on you?
I was, going back to the city was definitely out. Just seeing how she interacted with Steve and pretty much the very beginning of the game made it very clear that she hated her job or had disdain for her job situation.
Yeah.
So, and obviously Lumberjack wasn't going to happen, so it was either stay in town or go with Angie as the two choices. And I'm not sure about, the road trip situation because, that is very quick to go on to something that life-changing, right?
Yeah. That's hardcore midlife crisis, poor choices, impulsivity kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, like, me with my mental health brain, I was thinking that VCR lesbian lady had bipolar disorder with how sort of impulsive that she was.
Especially that one time that you meet her and she's pretty much catatonic.
Yeah. And is very, she's catatonic and she's kind of aggressive is too strong a word, but she's very curt and like, no. Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I did exactly what you wanted.
That's the term that they use themselves. It just is out of nowhere, and then they, just drop it and never pick it back up, or at least in my story.
It never comes up again. I mean, like, she mentions it to you, like, hey, she's like, I had a lot on my mind. I'm sorry I was that way yesterday. And then that's it. Like, it never comes back up again.
Yeah, which is just odd.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's okay. Sometimes people are weird and abrupt like that, too, in terms of, like, they don't want to talk about it. And so they just don't. I get that. But, yeah, overall, I think it's a good, solid one playthrough game. Although, if you get a game-breaking bug, I could see how that would completely ruin the experience. But I liked it. I really liked it. And it was perfect for this month for me with, like, got it done in a weekend, 7 hours, nice little time, and then didn't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, I think I was looking at 6 and some change.
Yeah.
But I was also minus the storyline. But I did go, explore some of the maps, so hit some of the kind of highlights as well.
Yeah.
But it honestly, the world felt like a little bit like a theme park as well, where you go down one road and there would always be this one rabbit, right?
Yep. There's a couple other animals you could see too. I mean, you can interact with them, but I kept looking for Bigfoot because a lot of times games like this will put a Bigfoot or Yeti or whatever in, but I did not see one, and I didn't look up to see if there actually was one somewhere.
I mean, I'm not sure if there would be, but right?
Yeah.
I mean, up until the point that I had, the show-stopping bug, it wasn't terrible, but it just felt like it wore out its welcome.
Yeah. That's fair.
Also, the lack of variety in the music, right?
Yeah.
I could only hear about Way Down South so many damn times.
I like the soundtrack, but...
I like the soundtrack, but it was too repetitive. And they even pointed out that, I know I need to get more songs.
Yep,
yes,
I was going to say, you can make a joke about it. I like when games are self-aware, but being self-aware does not, undo the fact that your game still has these flaws.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, from one driving game to another?
Yeah. Then that means I put... Okay, yeah, that's right. That's the one you started with the wrong month. Yeah, from one driving game to another. So for the April Game Club, we are going to be playing Euro Truck Simulator.
Yeah, with what DLC we have.
Yes. I'm actually going to look and see...
Yeah.
I don't have all the DLC.
Right, I don't either.
Okay. Modded or unmodded playthrough?
I'm probably going to go light mods.
Okay.
Let's see. I have Road to Black Sea, Beyond Baltic Sea, Italia, Viva la France, Scandinavia going east, Special Transport, Heavy Cargo, High Powered Cargo, Uh, one of the trailer packs, the wheel tuning pack, and the cabin accessories.
Let's see. Which ones do I have? Where's the easiest way to see what DLC? Oh, never mind. Here we go.
I just went
DLC.
to the store page, and there's a
Shit.
lot of DLC, obviously.
Let's see. The DLCs I have:
I think I'm missing one.
Viva la France,
I think I'm
Italia,
missing one map pack.
Scandinavia, Going East, Special Transport, Power Cargo, Heavy Cargo. I've got some of the other stuff, some of the cosmetic stuff. I got some of those, but I didn't read those.
Yeah, I don't have Iberia, which means I can't do pro mods anyway, because they keep it where you pretty much have to stay current.
Yeah.
So I think I'm missing only one map pack, which until Heart of Russia comes in.
Russia. Yeah, I've got some of the smaller ones. Then I've got the Essentials bundle, which is Going East, Scandinavia, High Power Cargo, Cabin Accessories, and Wheel Tuning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which the cabin accessories is kind of nice for some of the trucks.
Guess I need to install it. I haven't installed on my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do that later, though. I'm not going to install it now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't played either of the truck simulators in 2 or 3 years. So it'll be good to... for me, they're very relaxing and good podcasty games. I've never thought about them from a mechanics standpoint. So we're going to...
Or, just, how the games handle different regions as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think Scandinavia was tied to dual trailers for the longest time. Or I could be mistaken on that one. I know there was, one region that you could only have dual trailers in for quite a while.
Right. Well, we will find out all about that this coming month. Very excited. Doing some trucking for my birthday, because my birthday's in April.
Woo.
Woo!
I do have real traffic density enabled. We'll figure out the mod situation, right?
Yeah, I'm probably going to play pretty close to vanilla. So whenever you figure out your mods, if you give me a list, I'll take a look at them and see. Just because it's been so long since I've played. Now, if I play it enough, I might play some modded and some unmodded and be able to compare those as well. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes and how much time I get.
You do realize that we're going to have to try Convoy at some point.
Can you? Does multiplayer work without mods?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Then yeah, we'll have to do that at some point. I'm just gonna start a completely new game too, because it's been so long since I've played. I've kept my save data, but having your own trucking company kind of changes the complete vibe, or changes the vibe of the game. So I want to start from scratch.
Yeah, I get to the point where it's pretty much just you get set and have infinite money essentially.
But okay. So ready to do the news?
I think so.
Our first news topic of the night: PlayStation Spartacus revealed as a PlayStation Plus overhaul.
Turns out Sony yells, "I am Spartacus."
Apparently. Turns out Sony wants some of that sweet Game Pass money.
Pretty much.
It's not a total copy of Xbox Game Pass, but it's very clearly inspired by and ripping off Xbox Game Pass. And I'm okay with that. You and I have both been like, Game Pass is amazing. It's a great value. There's going to have to be some more competition in the market. Otherwise, eventually, Microsoft is going to hike up the price, because of course they would. And this seems like a good shot at competition. Let me get to the news article so I can look at the specifics of the library. But let's see. So they've created this 3-tier service, similar to how Game Pass is tiered.
Well, I would say kind of the Nintendo model as well, because the higher tiers enable access to an older catalog, which we don't know what's in that yet.
No, but
it's also a lot bigger than what Nintendo offers.
Yes. So it's got three tiers. Sort of the basic tier is equivalent to what PlayStation Plus is right now. Access to all of their paid online services, as well as the free games they give out every month, or access to the games. And then the 2 up tiers include that, as well as additional things. So the essential tier, okay, so the essential tier is the one that's equivalent to PlayStation Plus right now.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know what's going on with Firefox, but it really doesn't like their site right now.
right. So the extra okay, so the next tier is called the extra tier, which has a back catalog of, quote, up to, I'm just going to say 400. It's up to 400.
Mhm.
But 400 PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 titles, which they've said will be a mix of first and third-party titles. You can download the games. You don't have ownership of them. It seems like as soon as you get rid of the tier, you'll lose access to those games. But you can download them in much the same way that you do for other PlayStation titles that you buy online or have access to. And then there's the there's the premium tier, which provides those, those 2 benefits. So the, basic, equivalent PlayStation Plus service, as well as the back catalog. And then you get the access to the cloud streaming catalog for PlayStation Now, which has most of PlayStation's library. There's time limited demos on like brand spanking new games, and then cloud streaming for everything else on the rest of the library. Seems like it's included with that service. Which cloud streaming you can stream to your devices. I think that it allows you to stream to your PC as long as you also have a PlayStation. You can't just straight up like buy this service without a PlayStation. You do have to have a PlayStation. But the cloud streaming service can be streamed to other devices like Sony's TV or Sony TVs, PlayStation 4s and 5s, and then if you have a PC with a PlayStation, there's like an app or something you can get and you sign in, and then you can stream games to your PC that way. So it's not a direct support of PlayStation games on PC, but it's pretty close. And that's the biggest thing that keeps it from being a true, I think, competitor to Game Pass. In a strictly console sense, like, it is a solid competitor for Game Pass. But with Xbox, wanting to, or Microsoft wanting to control as much as possible the PC gaming space, they've just made all of their titles, straight up available on PC, whether or not you've got an Xbox or not. So it lacks that direct PC support. But otherwise, solid swing out of the gate.
Well, Sony has been doing a big push of porting their games to PC, so it'll be interesting to see if these higher tiers eventually start tying those PC ports back into this Game Pass situation.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, is that they've been pushing a PC initiative for a fair amount of time now.
Yeah, they have been adding...
and it's been gathering steam as well, so over on Steam.
They have been adding older first-party titles to PC. The God of War reboot and Horizon Zero Dawn are the 2 that like spring to my mind, but there are others that they've been adding from their catalog.
Dad of War?
Yes, Dad of War.
All right.
Yeah, which I'm very excited to see.
Sorry, I did that wrong. It's Dad of Boy.
Right. Boy of Dad. Boy.
No, that's the sequel.
Right.
Where you're playing the boy.
you got me on that one. But yeah, it seems like, at this moment, with no access to it, with no sort of direct experience, it's hard to say, much more other than like, I think that this is a good swing out the gate. We'll see how well the service works in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll find out, because it launches today, right? Day of recording?
It launches in June. The new
it launches in June.
The rebranding launched.
The other news topic is the one that launched today. Then, okay,
yeah, which we'll get to that. But they also said that the upper tiers, and now I had to find it again because I scrolled back up to double check myself. At launch, the new hierarchies will include Returnal, Marvel Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Mortal Kombat 11 to name a few. So yeah, not little titles either, right?
Right.
I mean, the Spider-Man was a system seller for quite a while.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
So it'll be interesting. I think what really this comes down to is the library, but also, well, just what of these are streaming only and what of them are download, right?
Yeah.
And it says that there's a mix for both of them, for both of the higher tiers. So if, the streaming library isn't that strong, or if you're in a bad spot for it, oh boy, right?
Yeah. But that is kind of always the problem you run into when you're relying strictly on game streaming.
Yeah.
When it works, it's great, but lots of times it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like when I tried Luna and tried Devil May Cry. Oh boy. I never actually talked about that on the show. Let's put it this way: locked at 30 FPS if I wasn't mistaken, with some horrendous input lag.
Yeah.
I just don't see how anybody would be able to play that. That was one of the free games for March with Amazon Prime. So, maybe eventually it'll be worthwhile, but not right now.
Right. All right. Well, speaking of that other news topic that launches today that I got mixed up in my head, GTA Online subscription, GTA Plus, announced for consoles. Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Oh, so Rockstar is really trying to milk GTA Online, huh?
Yep. That's
honestly,
not changed.
And honestly, this just seems like a terrible deal. It's not that expensive, but it doesn't offer that much either. It's where was that on here? $5.99 a month, and you get essentially an allowance of 500,000 GTA bucks, which is not a lot because you're some of the new stuff that they add is several million at least each per car. If you bought into one of the things in the game, you get a refund for that because it's free to members. And AutoShop has an assortment of gameplay updates that you get also access to for no cost. It waives car meet fees, so that's a very, very cheap buy-in for racing. Upgrade your yacht, right? Which, once again, extremely expensive, so who's this for, right?
Yeah, aren't the yachts like 20-something million or 200-something million in game?
No idea.
It's a lot.
Some random cosmetics, some paint jobs for 3 cars when there's hundreds in the game. Oh, and the best thing that's not even in the patch notes, if you're a GTA Plus member, you get a new set of exclusive shark cards that you can buy. Because, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
How much are the shark cards again? I know they're a lot.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go look because the shark. I'm heading over to Steam. Hang on.
Shark cards. A lot. So,
a red shark, the cheapest one, $2.99, which is $100,000. Or let's just say that 100,000 GTA bucks, because, right?
Yeah.
The closest that you get to this is the tiger shark, which is $4.99 for 200,000 GTA bucks.
And this is, you get 500,000 GTA bucks
a
month plus.
So it's the equivalent of the bull shark, which is 500,000 GTA bucks.
Yeah, that's actually funny because bull shark bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a bit of a stretch, but I think it's funny.
Yeah, it's about the only thing funny here, right?
Yeah, I mean, my feelings about GTA 5 are well known on this show. Mm-hmm. To reiterate, because it's been a while, and maybe for any new listeners, I like the single player for Grand Theft Auto 5. I think it's fine. Interesting story, interesting gameplay. I mean,
It's a
it's
shame
Grand
that
Theft
they never
Auto.
fleshed it out because
It's a shame that they never really did anything. Like, I mean, it's got a story, but it would be great to have some good DLC, story expansions, like, from 4 with like the
Ballad
Ballad
of
of Gay
Tony.
Tony,
Yeah.
and
Lost in the Damned.
Lost in the Damned, yep. But they never did that because GTA Online. And GTA Online is still a piece of shit all these years later with ridiculously long loading times.
Well, they did
horrible latency
have
and
that
lag.
one person that fixed it for him, right?
Yeah. A rando fixed it, and they, didn't they ban him or something?
They banned him at first because it triggered an anti-scripting thing.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Let's just put it this way. I'm looking at the GTA shop page, and most of their screenshots is featuring GTA Online, it looks like. That should tell you something, huh?
Yeah. I just...
As a matter of fact, don't they sell a GTA Online only version?
I'm not sure. See, you can get the premium edition,
Oh, this is just such a mess, huh?
which is GTA 5 and the Criminal Enterprise Starter Pack. I'm sure that's an online thing. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto Online. Fucking shit. Garbage. And that launched today, March 29th. I hate it. Makes me sad.
Yeah, from everything that I heard, they supposedly had some single-player DLC content planned out with some storylines that would have that they could have tied into the single player. And then GTA Online just started printing money like crazy.
Yeah. Makes me sad. Eventually, they will actually make and or release a GTA 6. Like, eventually.
There's rumors floating around that they're going to announce GTA 6 within the next year. With some rumors saying that it's going to be a multi-generational thing. Like, there's going to be one storyline and one time frame and then another one in like a couple decades later. And my big concern is just what are they going to do to GTA Online in this? Because, right?
Yeah.
If you know that they're going to be figuring out what went wrong and what went right with GTA Online, and they're going to monetize the ever-living fuck out of it, even more so.
Yep. Which sucks, because I really like Grand Theft Auto. 3, Vice City, 4, all the stuff that goes along with 4, all the DLC, and 5, all excellent games. Certainly they have problems. Certainly they were products of the eras in which they were created, but overall they were very good games that I think pushed gaming forward. And, and now it's just a big steaming pile of bullshit.
I mean, my favorite was San Andreas, just with how much they had in it.
Yeah.
And have kind of a rag to riches story to go on along with it.
Yeah.
It's just such a shame how the mighty had fallen. And how even Saints Row is no longer a thing because that's got rebooted, and honestly, to me, it just has no appeal to it. The reboot, it just looks
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, you ready to go to our final topic of the night?
Yeah.
Okay, our final news topic of the night, community corner topic submitted by I believe Jim. Gran Turismo 7 now has Sony's lowest user score ever on Metacritic.
Oh boy, right?
Yeah, so we got this article last week, so there have been some, I guess you could say, updates to this story, but let's kind of start at the beginning and we'll work our way forward. So Gran Turismo 7, which is, in case anyone doesn't know, is sort of the premier racing sim for PlayStation. It goes way back to the original.
Not anymore.
Right. It goes way back to the original PlayStation. It's got a pedigree for being a very solid console racing game with a good focus on being as realistic as possible. And the new one suffers what I call the Forza, or what I have called the Forza bastardized problem. Monetization bastardization. Because Forza...
It's basically taken what Forza Horizon does and only monetized everything about it, right?
Yeah. So, single player racing sim. It has online components, but It's not a Forza Horizon. Think, Forza Motorsports. And they monetize the ever-living fuck out of it. With like the comparisons I've seen made are just for example, there's a Koenigsegg in it that you can to buy the DLC that has that for Forza Horizon 5 is like $4.99, and it's part of a car pack, so it's not even really $4.99 for this car. And then to buy the car itself in Gran Turismo 7, like this one car is like $50.
Which is just insane.
Yeah. Like, microtransactions are bad, but this is,
This is macro.
Yeah. So, that, as well as the game is extremely buggy and went offline for a day or two because, of course, it's a game that requires Sony to, always be online.
Well, of course it does, because remember, we're talking about massive amounts of microtransaction. You can't have it be offline, because then people can cheat their enhance their experience through compliance with the currency exchange.
Yep. And all of the standard car prices were too high. They'd been bumped up to, of course, nudge you into microtransaction purchases. It has issues with its accessibility options, as well as like weird eccentricities about its difficulty. It's not good, and it got a Metacritic score of 2.5. I don't know what it actually is now, and generally speaking, I don't think Metacritic is useful at all, except as a very broad spectrum barometer for how the public is receiving something. Kind of like how Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not even that, because remember, at least according to Stephanie Sterling, the economy was turned off until after the reviews came out.
Right.
And you had another slimy thing. Now, you can't even have reviews talk about the microtransaction side of things because it wasn't in the review code.
Right.
So you have these long grinds for whatever reason that seems really strange. Then they flip a switch, and you can just buy the car for $40 instead of spending who knows how many hours.
Right. Yeah, it's terrible. And it's interesting to see, because Forza, way back in 2013 or 2014, with Forza Motorsport 5, did this exact same thing and got raked over the coals for it. And for Forza Motorsport 5, they changed and removed a bunch of the stuff. It crept its way back in over the next couple of iterations, but, we've already been down this road. And they're doing the exact same thing. Like, literally the exact same thing that Forza Motorsport 5 did, with pushing people into microtransactions, jacking up the in-game credit price for vehicles so high that it was actively trying to push people towards microtransactions to buy them, and then having like this shitty like car service thing where you could get like bonus XP and money, and the the backlash to it was enormous, and so Microsoft and Turn 10, backed off of it, and everything old is new again.
Right.
Yep. Gets old. It gets real old.
Hey, all players will be getting 1 million credits for compensation because they tune. Well, here's the thing: is that I don't trust them saying that they tuned it too high. This is the other article talking about their roadmap that includes better rewards and more. Because I'm of the opinion that a few of the more vocal pundits are kind of on our side still, where they don't overtune these. They know exactly that this is like 3 steps too far, but if they take 1 step back, they're still 2 steps too far, but it looks like it's better, so it's progress. So they get rave reviews for doing something that they broke in the first place. That's the other thing, This is broken by design.
Yep. It's another one of those examples of like pushing it too far
Hmm.
on purpose, and like if you get away with it, great. But if you don't, the likelihood of pushback on it is pretty high. So then you can push it back to something that is worse than it was, but not as bad as the change actually is. And then be like, see, we listened, we made changes, we fixed it.
I mean, it's sort of like, EA having it where you have to grind 50 hours for Darth Vader, but then they change it so it's only 30, and that's almost half his time, the amount of time. So, why aren't you happy, right?
Yeah.
But don't worry, he'll be part of the battle pass, so you buy into that.
Right? Absolutely. Buy into the battle pass for Gran Turismo 7 and get that, choose from one of 4 classic sports cars.
That are severely overpowered compared to all the other cars. So if you want a competitive edge, or even be competitive at all, because other people are going to buy them, better hurry up, right? Oh, and by the way, the battle pass is a limited time thing, and if you don't buy it now, you're not going to get those cars. So hey, that's your favorite car in there? Well, oh boy, you're about to miss out, aren't you? Better hurry.
Yep, better buy that.
Do you really need both those kidneys? Hey, you can sell a little bit of liver, right?
Consume, motherfucker.
Hey, when was the last time you saw plasma anyway?
Yeah, good point.
And I know we sound incredibly cynical because we are.
We are.
But we've also seen, how this has gone time and time and time again. And it's just, I shouldn't even say it's disappointing. It's almost expected at this point, isn't it?
Yep, more or less.
It's a pleasant surprise whenever I see an article talking about how there's not going to be microtransactions in a upcoming game. I think the latest one I saw was the upcoming Hogwarts RPG thing. But it shouldn't be a headline in the first place,
Yeah, I agree. Preaching to the choir on this one, brother.
The fact that we're looking at games getting praised for, not gouging us is ridiculous.
Getting praised for doing the absolute bare minimum.
It's more, getting praised for, not screwing us over when we should be pitchforks and torches to EA, to Sony. And yes, I know I keep throwing EA out there because that's kind of the most egregious one as of late, right?
Yep, they're one of, if not the worst.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just disappointing, right?
Yep. Disappointment.
But kind of expected.
Disappointing, but also not, because we expect to see it. It makes me sad because I really like the Gran Turismo series. Now, the last Gran Turismo game I played was 5, which was some years ago, many years. But I would still like to play it, but now I don't want to play it.
Yeah, I haven't played Gran Turismo in ages. I think the last one I played was like 2.
I got a ROM of it, and it runs pretty well until it just crashes. And that happens relatively quickly.
Well, simple. You just pay a microtransaction.
Right.
Isn't that how it works?
I think so. I'd rather not, though. So.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like that's the way it's going to go. I do wonder if Sony's PlayStation Spartacus, which Spartacus Spartan, right?
Yeah. Yep. I see what you did there.
I wonder if that's also kind of pushing towards more of the games that has DLC and microtransactions as well. Are we going to see Sony go all in on microtransactions? Oh no, I just ruined it for you, didn't I?
No, I just was like processing for a moment. I think you have a good idea there. I mean, it's a bad idea, it's terrible, but a good idea in the sense of like that makes sense that they would do that.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I really do, but at the same time, think
of like the scummiest, shittiest thing, and that's probably what's going to happen.
And considering this is immediately after them announcing it, they've had issues with Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. All right. I don't know if I have anything else to add to that. Do you?
Not really.
Okie dokie. Well, we talked about this earlier. We're probably gonna have a shorter show this week.
I figured you'd probably want to crash, right?
I am very tired. I'm hoping to be fully back into the swing of things by next week. We'll get a chance this weekend to hopefully reset myself, and be used to things being different around here. But tonight I am tired and would appreciate starting to wrap up so that I can go have sleepy time. So, hey, Rage, how can people get in touch with us?
Well, if you wish to contact us, you can do so VGLpodcast@gmail.com. You can drop by the Discord, which you can find a link to that over at VGLpodcast.podbean.com. Or you can go over to the Twitter, VGL Podcast, as well.
Nice.
And I've already hit you with the socials, so...
Yep. Well, so some of the socials, I have been Jared. You can find me on Twitter by searching for @JMA4707. I have been quiet the last week or two. I've been very busy, but shitposts and other things are starting to return. If you want to see me participate on tabletop RPGs, you can do so over at twitch.tv/runicarts. That is not my Twitch channel. That is the Twitch channel of the person who streams the games. I play and will be resuming playing a very horrible bastard of a vampire man on Wednesday nights, and on Friday nights I'm running a BattleTech game. So if you want a deep dive or a deeper dive into the lore of that universe and the actual tabletop mechanics, you can do that. Otherwise, you can chat with me on Discord, as previously discussed on our Discord channel, or through an email, or you can be my friend on Steam, jarthur4707 on Steam.
And I've been Caffeine Rage. You can find me occasionally tweeting over at Gaming with CR, or if you wish to be my friend on Steam, you can find me over at, Caffeine Rage there as well. Our lovely, lovely patrons have made this possible. You can find out more about that over at patreon.com/VGL Podcast, which helps us pay for the Podbean, VGLpodcast.podbean.com, which has the RSS feed, links to all our stuff. Or if you wish to share the love, you can find us on your podcatcher of choice. And I recently covered, the social, so I'm not going to bother, but what the hell, VGL Podcast @gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, game-related topics. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kim McLeod. You can find his work over at Incompetech.com. And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.